The Sinaloa Cartel, a name synonymous with drug trafficking, violence, and power. For decades, this Mexican cartel has held a firm grip on the international drug trade, leaving a trail of chaos and destruction in its wake. From the mountains of Sinaloa to the streets of America, its reach has been vast, its influence undeniable. But behind this criminal enterprise stand men, individuals who orchestrate the cartel's operations and maintain its iron rule. Ismael El Mayo Zambada, a shadowy figure who has evaded authorities for decades, stands as the cartel's elusive leader.
Joaquín Guzmán-López, son of the infamous Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, inherited his father's ruthlessness and ambition, rising through the ranks to become a key player in the cartel's hierarchy.
Their stories, intertwined with the cartel's bloody history, provide a glimpse into the heart of one of the world's most powerful criminal organizations. This is a deep dive into the capture of El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López, an event that sent shockwaves through the underworld and marked a turning point in the war on drugs. The roots of the Sinaloa cartel can be traced back to the 1980s, amidst the rugged terrain of Sinaloa, Mexico. What began as a loose alliance of drug traffickers, led by figures like Pedro Avilés Garcia, quickly transformed into a sophisticated criminal organization. As the cartel solidified its power, it established intricate drug trafficking routes, smuggling marijuana, cocaine, and heroin into the United States. The cartel's rise was fueled by a toxic mix of corruption, violence, and strategic alliances. At the heart of the Sinaloa cartel's operations was a hierarchical structure, with El Mayo and El Chapo's son occupying powerful positions.
El Mayo, known for his evasiveness and strategic brilliance, played a crucial role in maintaining the cartel's logistical networks and forging alliances with corrupt officials. Joaquín Guzmán-López, fueled by his father's legacy, oversaw key drug trafficking corridors and enforced the cartel's dominance through brutal violence.
This intricate web of power, built on loyalty, intimidation, and strategic alliances, allowed the Sinaloa cartel to thrive despite constant pressure from law enforcement. Section 3. The Business of Cartels. The Sinaloa cartel's operations extended far beyond drug trafficking. They diversified their criminal portfolio, engaging in money laundering, extortion, and human trafficking, tightening their grip on both local communities and international markets. Their vast financial resources, estimated to be in the billions, fueled their expansion and allowed them to corrupt officials, acquire sophisticated weaponry, and operate with impunity. The cartel's ruthlessness knew no bounds, silencing anyone who dared to challenge their authority. For years, El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López operated in the shadows, their movements shrouded in secrecy and protected by a network of informants and corrupt officials. El Mayo, in particular, had become a ghost, his whereabouts unknown, his existence whispered in hushed tones.
He moved like a phantom, always one step ahead of the law, his capture seemingly impossible. But the authorities hadn't forgotten about them. The DEA, the FBI, and Mexican authorities were working tirelessly, gathering intelligence, developing informants, and slowly piecing together the intricate puzzle of the cartel's operations.
The manhunt intensified, fueled by a combination of high-tech surveillance, human intelligence, and a relentless pursuit of justice. Satellites scanned the remote regions of Mexico, drones buzzed overhead, and agents on the ground followed every lead, no matter how small.
The noose was tightening, the pressure mounting. Every intercepted phone call, every seized shipment, every captured lieutenant brought them closer to their targets. The authorities were closing in, their resolve unwavering, their determination fueled by the knowledge that they were dealing with dangerous and ruthless criminals.
This wasn't just a Mexican operation, it was a collaborative effort between the United States and Mexico, a testament to the shared commitment to dismantling the cartel's infrastructure. Information flowed freely between agencies, borders became less relevant, and a united front emerged against a common enemy.
This collaboration was essential, for the cartel's reach extended far beyond Mexico, its tentacles reaching deep into the United States. The arrest of El Chapo had sent shockwaves through the cartel, but it had not crippled them. El Mayo and El Chapo's son had stepped in, filling the void, ensuring the cartel's continued dominance.
Deep in the heart of Texas, far from the cartel's stronghold in Mexico, a lead emerged. Whispers of El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez's presence reached the ears of a joint task force comprising the DEA, FBI, and Texas Rangers. The information was fragmentary, almost unbelievable. The two most wanted men in the world, hiding in plain sight, seeking refuge in the Lone Star State. The task force, seasoned veterans of countless drug operations, treated this intel with a mix of excitement and cautious skepticism.
Could it be true? Could El Mayo, the phantom who had eluded capture for decades, finally be within reach? The task force, fueled by adrenaline and a thirst for justice, sprang into action. Operation Texas Showdown was born, a carefully orchestrated plan designed to capture the cartel leaders without a shot being fired. They established a perimeter around a remote ranch outside El Paso, a location pinpointed through painstaking intelligence gathering. The agents moved with precision, their movements cloaked in secrecy, their faces etched with determination.
As dawn broke over the Texas plains, the task force prepared to make their move. The element of surprise was crucial. They couldn't afford to let their targets escape.
In a synchronized assault, teams of heavily armed agents stormed the ranch, their movements swift and silent. El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez, caught off guard, found themselves trapped, their reign of terror coming to an abrupt end.
The news of their capture spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves from the cartel's heartland in Sinaloa to the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. The impossible had happened. The two most wanted fugitives in the world, apprehended in a daring raid on Texan soil.
Operation Texas Showdown was a resounding success, a testament to the tireless efforts of law enforcement and a symbol of hope in the fight against organized crime. But it was also a stark reminder of the cartel's far-reaching influence, its ability to penetrate borders and operate with impunity, even in the heart of America.
The capture of El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez triggered a cascade of legal proceedings both in the United States and Mexico. The weight of justice, long delayed but never forgotten, was finally bearing down on the two alleged kingpins.
Years of meticulous investigation, countless hours of surveillance, and the tireless efforts of law enforcement agencies culminated in this moment. Indictments, some dating back decades, were unsealed, revealing a litany of charges against the two men. Drug trafficking, conspiracy, money laundering, murder. The charges painted a grim picture of their alleged reign of terror.
Extradition became a point of contention between the United States and Mexico, with both countries seeking to prosecute the cartel leaders within their own jurisdictions.
The United States, eager to dismantle the Sinaloa cartel and bring its leaders to justice, argued for extradition, citing the severity of the charges and the cartel's impact on American soil.
Mexico, asserting its sovereignty and seeking to address the cartel's violence within its own borders, also sought to put them on trial.
The legal battle over extradition, a complex dance of diplomacy and legal maneuvering, threatened to drag on for years.
Meanwhile, El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez sat in high-security prisons, their fate hanging in the balance.
The world watched and waited, eager to see if justice would finally be served. Their capture, a significant victory in the war on drugs, had sent shockwaves through the underworld, but the battle was far from over. The news of El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez's capture sent shockwaves across continents, reverberating through the halls of power and the streets alike.
Governments, long engaged in a seemingly unwinnable war against the Sinaloa cartel, hailed the arrest as a major victory, a testament to the power of international cooperation and unwavering commitment.
The United States, where the cartel's drugs had fueled addiction and violence for decades, erupted in a mix of relief and cautious optimism.
Politicians, eager to capitalize on the moment, delivered triumphant speeches, praising law enforcement agencies and vowing to continue the crackdown on organized crime.
Mexico, grappling with the cartel's reign of terror for years, experienced a more complex reaction, a mixture of hope and skepticism. The arrest presented both a challenge and an opportunity for U.S.-Mexico relations. The shared victory offered a chance to strengthen ties, to showcase the benefits of collaboration in combating transnational crime.
However, the issue of extradition threatened to strain the relationship, as both countries sought to assert their jurisdiction over the high-profile detainees. The negotiations were tense, a delicate dance of diplomacy and legal maneuvering.
The United States, citing the severity of the charges and the cartel's impact on American soil, pushed for extradition, arguing that El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López should face justice in the United States.
Mexico, driven by concerns about sovereignty and a desire to demonstrate its ability to hold the cartel accountable, preferred to prosecute them within its own borders.
Public reaction to the arrests was divided, reflecting the complex realities of the drug war. In the United States, many celebrated the captures as a blow against a ruthless enemy, a sign that the tide was turning in the fight against organized crime. Others, however, expressed skepticism, questioning whether the arrests would truly cripple the Sinaloa cartel or simply lead to more violence as new leaders emerged. In Mexico, the reaction was even more nuanced. While some hailed the arrests as a victory for justice, others viewed them with apprehension, fearing a potential power vacuum within the cartel could unleash a new wave of violence. Some communities, long terrorized by the cartel, greeted the news with cautious optimism, hoping for a reprieve from the violence that had plagued their lives. The arrests of El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López sent shockwaves through the Sinaloa cartel, disrupting its power structure and creating a void at the top. For years, these men had been the faces of the cartel, their names synonymous with its ruthlessness and reach. Their absence created a power vacuum, a struggle for control as lieutenants and rivals vied for dominance. Internal conflicts, long suppressed under the iron rule of El Mayo and El Chapo's son, threatened to erupt, pitting factions against each other in a bloody battle for supremacy. The cartel, once a cohesive and seemingly impenetrable force, now faced the real possibility of fragmentation, its vast network fracturing into smaller, potentially more volatile cells. The future of the Sinaloa cartel, once seemingly assured, now hung in the balance, its destiny uncertain. Some analysts predicted its demise, arguing that the loss of its leadership would prove fatal, leading to its eventual dismantling. Others, however, cautioned against premature pronouncements of victory, pointing to the cartel's resilience, its deep roots in Mexican society, and its ability to adapt to changing circumstances. The cartel, they argued, was more than just its leaders. It was a complex organism capable of regenerating, of finding new heads to replace those that had been severed. The war on drugs, they warned, was far from over. The capture of El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López, while a significant victory, was but a single battle in a long and protracted conflict. The fight against organized crime, they emphasized, required a multifaceted approach, one that addressed not only the supply of drugs, but also the demand that fueled the cartel's profits. The capture of El Mayo and Joaquín Guzmán-López marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing war on drugs, a resounding victory for law enforcement and a testament to the power of international collaboration. These arrests, the culmination of years of relentless pursuit, shattered the aura of invincibility that had long surrounded the Sinaloa cartel, exposing its vulnerabilities and sending shockwaves through the criminal underworld. The world watched as these two figures, once considered untouchable, were brought to justice, their reign of terror brought to an abrupt end in a remote corner of Texas. Their downfall served as a powerful reminder that even the most powerful and elusive criminals are not beyond the reach of the law. The message was clear. Impunity has its limits, and those who engage in drug trafficking, violence, and corruption will eventually face the consequences of their actions. Yet, amidst the celebrations and pronouncements of victory, a sobering reality remained. the war on drugs was far from over. The Sinaloa cartel, though wounded and leaderless, was still a formidable force, its vast network of operatives, corrupt officials, and illicit assets posing a continued threat to both Mexico and the United States. The fight against organized crime, a complex and multifaceted challenge, required a sustained and comprehensive approach, one that addressed not only the supply of drugs, but also the demand that fueled the cartel's profits. It demanded a commitment to strengthening institutions, tackling corruption, and addressing the root causes of violence and instability that allowed these criminal enterprises to thrive. The capture of El Mayo and Joaquín GuzmánLópez, while a significant victory, was but one battle in a long and protracted war. The struggle for justice, for peace, and for a world free from the scourge of drug trafficking continued. It was a fight that demanded unwavering resolve, unwavering cooperation, and an unwavering commitment to building a safer and more just world.